greetings, everyone. Greetings. How's everyone doing this evening? Hope everyone is well. Hope all is well. I want to give you all a few minutes to get on in the room. Just a second here. I need to silence this other phone. Make sure you guys are hitting the thumbs up button as you all are coming in. Welcome, welcome. Make sure you share the broadcast. Hit the thumbs up button and share. I'm just trying to get this thing going. Just a second. I am actually following up tonight because I received a couple of. So last night was really fun. And I hope that you guys had an opportunity to see the illustrious panel of intelligent, beautiful Black men that we were able to put together. So that was very fun. And shout out to my brother Omar Wally. Yeah, brother, thanks for being in the building. I'm actually about to read. You tweeted this, and I want to thank you for that. Brother Omar Wally is my good comrade. And he tweeted this essay by Askia Toure, Black Male-Female Relations, a Political Overview of the 1970s. And so I'm going to read that for you all. I got a couple of direct messages. A couple of people tweeted me. So people are really wanting to hear more about it because I quoted from it, I think, several times. Welcome in the building, everybody. Welcome. So glad that you all are here. Again, housekeeping, making sure y'all hit those thumbs up buttons, hit the like button, hit the share button. If you are not subscribed, head to YouTube, subscribe to Real Talk with ZSJ. We do a lot of positive, all Black content here. We tell the truth. We're uncensored and certainly uncompromising on this channel. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and read this because I do not plan to be with you all very long tonight. So why don't you all just drop in the chat, where you're watching from, what part of the world are you in, and what part of the country. There's some folks in Atlanta. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow. Absolutely. Tomorrow we will be live with Dr. Talawa. And so tomorrow is probably going to be one of the most controversial topics that I've covered on this channel. So we'll see how that goes. We'll definitely see how that goes. So in the meantime, y'all go ahead on and hit the like button. Go ahead and share. Post questions too. If you guys have any type of questions for me. Wow, Pickle, Ohio. That's right up the street from Dayton, Matthew. I lived in Dayton, Ohio for 20 years, so I'm familiar with Pickle. Salt Lake City, Savannah, Georgia, been there as well. Yeah. New York in the building. Hey, sis. Jersey. Wow. Trinidad and Tobago. Yes. So I have an international audience. I'm very proud of that. So let's go ahead on and so this is the essay. So if you guys want to look this up, this is the title of the essay. You can see I made a bunch of notes on here. My husband and I actually read it together. But I want you all to listen very intently, write questions in the comments in the chat, and I'll try to get to those questions at the end. But I'm going to read this entire essay on this live tonight, and hopefully we can engage in a really good conversation about what you all are hearing. So again, a Black male-female relations, political overview of the 1970s. This is by the dear elder, one of the founders of the Black Arts Movement, Askia Toure. Askia Toure. So he says, this article is intended to serve as a kind of overview of the political forces at work within this society, which continues to oppress Black males and females in the 1970s. This 50 years ago, y'all. I am making my own presentation and comments in this form because it seems that a number of our brothers and sisters have forgotten that we are still captives within U.S. capitalist imperialism and not free Afro-Americans, making our own decisions without external interference. That's so important, the external interference. This will be my main emphasis rather than a detailed, in depth analysis of Black male female problems. The recent phenomena of the inflated choreodrama for colored girls and the book Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman should sound as a note of alarm throughout the national Black community. This alarm should warn all serious political thinkers that the US government's assault against our people began with the FBI's COINTELPRO against the militant Black nationalist movement and strengthened by Hollywood's Blaxploitation counter-revolutionary. It is not over, but it is indeed proceeding with renewed sophistication. That's the point right there. Renewed sophistication and rigor. The COINTELPRO was a colonial search and destroy mission transferred from the jungles of Southeast Asia and the ghettos of urban America. The CIA's hit squad was even ordered back to aid domestic intelligence in this colonial war at home. The Hollywood cultural counter-revolution was aimed at disrupting and destroying the Black cultural revolution. The Black arts and Black aesthetics movement, which was mounted in the 60s by artists, activists, and grassroots people as the cultural wing of the Black liberation movement. If we briefly examine white America's stance in that period, we will recall that US imperialism was fighting on two fronts, right? Internationally against the heroic Vietnamese people who were waging a war of national liberation in Southeast Asia, and domestically against the Black Power revolution allied with the anti-war movement, which together almost created a full-scale revolution inside US national borders. This was the harsh colonial imperial period of the Nixon-Kissinger regime, whose strategy was a repressive anti-colonial war waged militarily and culturally on the domestic front via COINTELPRO and Hollywood to smash the Black Revolution and its allies. Y'all hear that? This is 50 years ago. And I'm pausing really quickly because this is exactly what is still happening. Like when we see things, like only now you can include social media and the things that you see on social media. But let me keep reading. Since the suppression of the 1960s revolution and the discrediting of the Nixon regime, the US power elite and the Rockefeller-led Trilateral Commission have created a new era that Christian neo-colonialism embodied in the career and personage of James Earl Carter and his shadow, Andrew Young, whose smiling countenance announces his intentions to bind up the wounds of the nation and bring us back together. Readers might say, fine, how does this apply to Black male-female relations? My point is simply this. The US is still the racist, or imperialistic society it has always been. However, it has shifted its strategies both domestically and internationally to neo-colonialism. In its chess game against the socialist bloc and the third world liberation struggles, domestically, it is still white supremacist, which means a scathing, implacable hatred of Black people and an ongoing determination to foist its racist oppression upon us as long as we exist. Within its new strategy of neocolonialism, US society is prepared to allow Roots 1 and 2 to be shown on primetime TV while Jimmy Carter invites Black jazz greats to the White House and sends his daughter to a predominantly Black public school. The Black presence is felt on national television with numerous Negro situation comedies such as Good Times, The Jeffersons, and others. In this period, culturally, there have been no direct head on attacks against the Black community by white America. Hollywood has even closed down its Blackploitation mills, putting hundreds of dusky pimps, prostitutes, drug pushers, spies, and super niggas out of work, possibly because it figured that the job was finished. However, true to the new colonial strategy, deadly attacks against Black people are now beginning to manifest within the ranks of African Americans. The oppressor is now manipulating. Listen. Manipulating us. They are now manipulating confused, elitist males and females who have not lived Black working class culture from within to act as artistic agent provocateurs and further exacerbate our explosive social problems. And yes, we have tremendous problems as domestically colonized people living within the citadel of world capitalist imperialism. Unfortunately, as Dr. Fanon teaches, the colonized will often turn the legitimate rage they feel against oppression inward by attacking each other. Yes, victimized by this racist, insane asylum, we experience alienation, depression, ego hunger, frustration, unconscious self-hatred, and other socio-psychological ills. However, it is an ignorance tantamount to treason for individuals who consider themselves writers, artists, people of vision, advanced consciousness, to blame either of the victims, male or female, for our current situation while totally exonerating our capitalist national oppressor. I contend that this has been the major trend in the artistic and intellectual efforts of both Miss Shane and Miss Wallace. And as such, it has served to increase the tension nationally within Black social relationships. Listen, y'all, by doing so, these writers' works have been utilized by our oppressor as weapons against our overall liberation effort. Anytime a New York Times drama critic can say of Miss Shane's artistic efforts, now the white man can truly call a Black woman his sister, while keeping in mind the continuing pathological racism of US society, what was meant as a compliment becomes a deadly indictment. That's so important. I hope y'all are really rocking with this. I hope y'all are really comprehending what's being read here. Having personally witnessed the effects of this play on Black women in Philadelphia, listening to my neighboring sisters make acid comment about literally castrating brothers, and accompanying 3 female friends, 2 of whom screamed in rage at me for 2 hours afterwards. Before we could engage in healing mutual dialogue, this writer experienced a feeling which must correspond to that of a victim, male or female, of rape. Well, damn. Pay attention right here, y'all. Gloria Steinem, okay, the prime figure and moving force behind Miss Magazine, had, according to 1967 newspaper reports, worked extensively with the CIA agents in this country and at the 1959 and 1969 Youth Festival sponsored by the Soviet Union and the Socialist Bloc, in a capacity as Director of Independent Research Service, a CIA-funded organization. She founded the CIA agency liberal and far-sighted, although she claims she was never asked to report on other Americans or to assess foreign nationals she had met. Right. Let's think about who the CIA might be funding today, okay? Let's think about that. Who might they be funding today? If one views the white middle class elitism of Miss Magazine, its basic values, pro capitalist, liberal white supremacists, and remembers Miss Steinham's alleged political history, then naturally one is both suspicious and even annoyed when a close up of Michelle Wallace's face becomes its front cover. In solidarity with Sister June Jordan, I like to quote from her New York Times book review critique of Miss Wallace's book dated March 18th, 1979. In speaking of Miss Magazine's treatment of the book, she states, Michelle Wallace's Black macho and the myth of the superwoman is ready-made for commercial exploitation. Its destiny so far has been further assured by nearly unprecedented promotion and publicity. Before the book's publication, Miss Magazine departed from its routine policies and published its January 1979 issue under a cover featuring a close-up photograph of a Black woman's face, the face of Michelle Wallace. It was accompanied by an announcement, the book that will shape the 1980s. Shortly afterward, her publisher mailed out a 4-color fold-up heralding Miss Wallace's book as one that could change history. These are claims of singular importance. In terms of the book itself, I can only say that it is one of the most vicious, slanderous attacks against both Black men and women. And indeed, against the Black liberation movement. That's the goal. On record, commenting on Black men, she states, one could say, in fact, that the Black man risked everything, all the traditional goals of revolution, money, security, the overthrow of the government in pursuit of the immediate sense of his own power. Also, the Black revolutionary of the 60s calls to mind nothing so much as a child who is acting for the simple pleasure of the reaction he will elicit from the pain he will cause his father. In her solidarity with her Black sisters, Miss Wallace comments in the book, as we can see, there was some low-key, directionless complaining and grumbling among Black women in the 60s, but they put more energy into their fight against women's liberation than anything else. She also states that the Black women never really dealt with the primary issues of the Black movement. She forced herself to be dismissive and passive. One wonders, this is Askia speaking now, end quote of that one. One wonders what sisters Fannie Lou Hamer, Queen Mother Moore, Angela Davis, Afeni Shakur, and others would think of that. One further quote from Sister June Jordan's critique is necessary to sum up Miss Wallace's actions. You do have to concede champion qualities to Miss Wallace's capacity for unsubstantiated, self-demeaning, ahistorical pronouncement, and from her total account of things, it is really hard to tell who is supposed to be more contemptible, the Black man or the Black woman, nor can I even guess what she is for, what she loves, what she respects. What is she for? End quote. One could go on quoting Miss Wallace ad nauseum. The point that I wish to emphasize is that we must begin to do some serious, in-depth study of the oppressor's new strategies. That he is working on our people in the 1970s or post-Reconstruction. Confused color girls, professors who speak of the decline of the racial issue at a time when we are under vicious attack, all point to the rise of neocolonialism and its effects among our ranks. I will close by stating that we must move collectively in this period to gear ourselves for a new offensive via Black united fronts, coalitions, and so on against these strategies which amount to genocide, okay, and the violation of our human rights. As a nation of 30 million African people inside U.S. national borders, dedicated militant Black men and women must increase our dialogues, both privately and publicly, in order to heal these contradictions within our ranks. For we all know that half of a nation cannot free itself. In the spirit of June Jordan and thousands of sister comrades across this country, we must identify and struggle against the ignorant and confused within our ranks who become unwitting tools for our continued oppression. Remember, in spite of his belligerence and our oppressor is on his last legs, a determined, informed, courageous people can take the lead in breaking the chains. Forever we will win. That's by Askia Toure. He's a poet, editor, political activist, and is presently working at this time with the Black United Front in Philadelphia. I had to read that. That was too important. Now let me see what kind of questions y'all posted. Because see, to me, every Democratic Party candidate, hey, oh, come on, tell it. The CIA is funding the record labels. Yep. I'm trying to go back and see if y'all posted any comments. Yeah. All of that. Is this brother still alive? Yes, he is still alive. I'm Facebook friends with him. If you are Mr. Untouchable, if you Facebook friends with me, he's on my friends list. Friending. He's last time he posted something was on January 1st. He's an elder. I don't know how old he is, but I'm assuming he's definitely in his 70s or 80s, probably at this point, because he's one of the founders of the Black Arts Movement. But yeah, the brother is definitely still alive. It's treachery. That's right, Omawale. Let me see if anybody posted any questions. Any questions? I'm not surprised they are inherently deceptive and extremely patient. That's right. Yeah. The game plan is still working, and we can't say that we didn't have Black people trying to warn us. I encourage everybody to print this out. We need to, like he said, now we have like digital and social media, which is why I wanted to read this, because this can do numbers. Y'all can share this out. Matter of fact, make sure y'all sharing this. Share this. People need to know this, because when you see the divide and conquer strategies that are still happening in our community, please know that it's been a part of a plan for a very long time that our own U.S. government implements against us. What's the Black United Front? The Black United Front was founded about 60 years ago. There were chapters. There's a chapter in D.C. There's chapters really all over the country. Conrad Worrell, dear elder, who just transitioned last year in 2021, is one of the founders. Just a lot of Black liberation thinkers worked as a part of the organization. I'm glad you asked me that, whoever you are right here. My question is, why weren't they successful? That's a good question, and I'll try to answer that. And this is just from my perspective, right? So clearly, these people were being paid. Black Macho, the sister that wrote that, she even admitted later that a white woman actually wrote large portions of the book, and she didn't know that she could ask to change things or that she could edit it. So they went to people in our community who they could exploit. Sister got exploited. She allowed them to use her face. They paid her. You know what I mean? She probably was very poor, probably had never seen that type of money before. So, that's how they did it. And the other piece is, when you think about the type of repression this government came down on people who were fighting for liberation, people died. People are actually still in prison to this day. We're fighting to get political prisoners out. Still to this day, in 2022, we still got people locked up from this era. They've been in there 40 and 50 years, right? We got Asada down in Cuba. So I believe that a lot of our people is like, well, maybe I don't want to get involved with that liberation struggle. They locking you up. They, knocking your door down and shooting you, and the police killing you like they did Fred Hampton and Mark Clark. So I think a combination of immense fear, and rightly so, right? Like, people have, so they were successful because these people are ruthless. They devils. They are ruthless. They will do anything to maintain power and control. And that means we have to be willing to do anything to get free of it. And so we've had people to do that. Unfortunately, you know, here we are, you know, and unfortunately, we now have about 30 years of people who have also been educated in the academy where you don't have strong Black studies departments anymore. The Black studies departments have been gutted. They are not Black liberationists or Black nationalists or Pan-African nationalists or anything like that anymore. They're not, their main goal is not Black self-determination. It's all about integration, intersectionality, and loving, and the crack area, there you go, and loving white people. So I think there is a number of things that we need to be thinking about, those of us who are still, so they use the fear strategy. Absolutely, it works. They're using it now with this pandemic. You see how that's working, don't you? Shit, it goes back to Omawali Fear Conference for Black Men. Yeah, so I had to read that for you guys. Like I said, I'm not staying with y'all long tonight. Again, shout out to my brother Omawali, who actually shared this with me, shared this with his Twitter followers, and my husband and I read it together, and you know, I've read other things, you know, but it was never this short and kind of succinct. You know what I mean? Like he said at the beginning of the essay, like he wasn't gonna go into like a deep dive, because you can look at videos. Amos Wilson deals with this issue, Black male and female relationships. There's a video on YouTube of Dr. Amos Wilson talking about this. John Henry Clark, like Black intellectuals did their best to push back. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, yes, Sister AWA, that's right. Black intellectuals and Black activists did their best to put it. And one of the reasons why I actually created this channel, because I actually went back and forth with myself on whether this would be an effective strategy. But the enemy is clearly using social media and these digital platforms to push a certain message. And that's how I ended up deciding to create this channel. It's not about making money or being a YouTube star or whatever. No, it's not about that. At least not for me. It's about me using the tools that I have at my disposal, you know, to share things that I'm sharing on this channel, like things that people don't know about. You know, I'm sharing, you know, African-centered theories, African-centered scholars, African epistemology, things that people are not getting access to K through 12 or in higher education. I mean, it's few and far in between. Like even when I was in college in the early 2000s, like the Black Studies department at the PWI I went to was a joke. It was a joke. I mean, I knew more than a professor who had a degree in English who was teaching the class because I had did my own independent reading. I had read the John Henry Clarks. I had read Amos Wilson, right? I had read a lot of the warrior scholars, and I was just sitting in class like, this feel like a second grade fucking intro class to Black. Like, are we gonna talk about some real shit? You know what I mean? So this, and again, this was the early 2000s. But thankfully, the community college that I went to, there was still a professor there who was a part of the US organization. So I don't know if people on here know about the US organization. Karanga, who's also the founder of Kwanzaa, you know, who obviously is a controversial figure himself, but he was manipulated, like a lot of Black leaders at that time, by the FBI and COINTELPRO. You know, so he, anyway, so the professor I had at this community college had been a member of the US organization. And so he introduced us to all of these theories and Black nationalism. And I learned Kiswahili, man. And so when I went to the 4-year college, I was like, what the F? Like, you know what I mean? So thankfully, you know, I did in the early 2000s run into one professor, just one, who still had the African centered, you know, he was an African centered thinker and professor. So you don't have a lot of them, like he's retired now. He actually moved back to Liberia. Yeah, he don't even live it. He got out of here. He don't live in the States anymore. Dr. Boyka Tway, for people who may be listening from Dayton, Ohio. Shout out to Dr. Boyka Tway at Sinclair Community College. He taught a lot of us, introduced me to Kwanzaa, introduced me to John Henrik Clark, introduced me to a lot of the warrior scholars, which actually helped in my own political development. Amos Wilson. Um, so yeah, but so I start this channel to introduce those ideas, right? Because a lot of the young people, like my kids, like I have a 14-year-old, he'll be 15 this year. Like right now he's not interested, but he lives with me. So, he has access to this. He has the books. Some of them he's read. He has Naeem Akbar's book, Know Thyself. He has access to this, you know what I mean? And he's grown up around it. Me and his father, his dad is actually getting his PhD at Ohio State University, but because me and his dad actually met in Dr. Toya's class. So my children will know about this. I'm just concerned that they will be surrounded by other Black kids who have no clue, who have no clue. Well, I appreciate you all. Glad that you all are listening again. Oh, the other one, because I got a lot of comments about this book last night, right? Because we have to push back against these feminist colonial narratives. All right. Feminism is rooted in white supremacy. I don't care who get mad. That's truth. Do your own research, right? And to let Black girls know and Black women know that feminism is not the only articulation for Black women's issues, right? No, it's not even ours to begin with. Africana womanism is ours, okay? Founded by Clenora Hudson Weems, who is very much still alive, by the way. She's still teaching. If y'all subscribe to this channel, if you go back through some of the videos, I interviewed her last year, and matter of fact, it might have been around this time last year, early 2021. I interviewed her. It was like a 3-hour video, so y'all have to, kind of go through that. But she's amazing. She had me cracking up. We actually kept in touch for months. Because I asked her, this is what I asked her. I said, there's so many programs out there for Black girls and Black girls in this, but it's all rooted in feminism. And so I was like, I want to create, because I have a daughter. She's 7. She'll be 8 this year. And I would love to have her be a part of some programs, but I'm not going to have her be a part of a program that's socializing her to hate her brother and her father. You know what I mean? So I thought, like, maybe I need to create something, right? And with the help of Sister Hudson Weems, Dr. Hudson Weems, maybe I could put something together. You know what I mean? That will be an Africana womanist young Black girls program, and to teach them the African centered. All right, let me read this because Dr. Julia Hare. How many of y'all know Dr. Julia Hare, Nathan Hare's wife? She passed in 2020. Shout out to her. They're a beautiful couple, African warrior couple. Let me read this quote from this book. So Julia Hare has a quote in here, and feminists hate it, but it's hilarious and it's so true. Says, where's the blessed place to order that book? Try to order that book from a Black bookstore. So Sankofa is in DC. I don't know where you live, Miss Rosemary. Just try not to get it off of Amazon. You might be able to get it. Just try to get it anywhere but Amazon. I don't support Amazon. I know a lot of people do, but try to get it from a Black bookstore, because Black bookstores are really struggling right now. And Sankofa sometimes I think ships. So Sankofa is in DC. Everyone's Place in Baltimore. I think we still have. There's a Mark. I believe Marcus Books is still open in Oakland. Yeah. So here we go. I got to read this quote for y'all before I get off here, because Dr. Julia Hare, Mama Julia Hare. Oh my God, there's some clips on YouTube that will have you. I mean, you will be holding your stomach laughing because she's hilarious. I love her. She's one of them old school Black women. Anything come out of her mouth. So here's her quote. She says, women who are calling themselves Black feminists need another word that describes what their concerns are. Black feminism is not a word that describes the plight of Black women. In fact, Black feminists have not even come together and come to a true core definition of what Black feminism is. The white race has a woman problem because the women were oppressed. Black people have a man and a woman problem because Black men are as oppressed as their women. I don't know who can deny that. And if you try to get on here and deny it, you need to post some facts. I don't have a lot of patience with Black feminists. I don't. One thing that I disagree with at the end of this, when he said that some of our people are unwittingly being used against each other, this was 50 years ago. They're not being used unwittingly today. The Jamila Lemieux of the world, they know better. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. That means we have to deal with internal enemies. And that's all I got for y'all tonight. I appreciate y'all. Join me tomorrow night, 8 p.m. I'll have Dr. Talawa back on. We'll be talking about bedroom colonialism. Ooh, I know that's going to be an interesting topic because, ooh-wee, a whole lot of y'all want to make excuses about why you want to date and marry everybody but another Black person. But that ain't none of my business right now. We're going to talk about it tomorrow, 8 o'clock. All right, family. Y'all join me tomorrow. It's been real. I hope you all share and like this video. If you're not subscribed, go to Real Talk with ZSJ on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Take care, everybody. Peace.